world smelled of sour milk and rot. That was the first coherent thought that managed to crawl through the thick, throbbing fog of pain in my head. My cheek was pressed against the gritty, damp concrete of an alley, my body folded into a space between a dented metal dumpster and a brick wall slick with something I didn't want to identify. Every breath was a fresh suffering, a sharp, grinding reminder of cracked ribs. I could taste blood mixed with the dirt I'd inhaled. I was trash, thrown out with the rest of the day's garbage. It was a fitting end, really. A pathetic finale for a pathetic life, I thought. A single, choked sob escaped my lips, a sound more animal than human. How did I get here? The answer wasn't a simple one. It was a story written in bruises and whispers, in fake smiles and the soul-crushing weight of betrayal. Just a few hours ago I was happy. Or I thought I was. The memory felt like it belonged to someone else, a ghost from a different life. It was me and Lena sitting on a park bench, sharing a single cup of overpriced frozen yogurt. The sun was warm on our skin and she'd laughed, a sound like wind chimes as I got a smear of strawberry on my nose. "You're such a dork, Adam," she'd said, her fingers, impossibly delicate, wiping it away. Her touch sent a jolt through me, a familiar, dizzying current that made my world feel right side up for the first time in years. Lena Richard. The girl who was my light at the end of a very long, very dark tunnel. Before her, my life was black and white. High school was a minefield and I was the guy who always stepped on the mines. My only friend, Jack, was just as much of a target as I was. We were the quiet ones, the weak ones, easy prey for guys like Friedrich Coulson and his pack of hyenas. They'd made a sport out of our misery, cornering us in hallways, knocking books from our hands, and delivering casual, painful shoves that left bruises on our bodies and deeper ones on our souls. I'd retreated into myself, building walls so high no one could get in. My family tried. My stepmom Joyce, a woman with more kindness in her heart than anyone I'd ever met, would leave snacks by my door. My stepsister Isabel would knock and try to coax me out, her voice laced with a genuine concern that only made me feel guiltier. They were a constant, loving presence, a family I'd been blessed with after my dad died, but I couldn't let them in. The darkness I was living in felt contagious and I didn't want to infect them. Then Lena appeared. She was everything I wasn't: popular, confident, radiant. She sat with me at lunch one day, ignoring the stares and whispers. She asked about my classes, about the books I was reading. She listened. For the first time, someone outside my family saw me, Adam Wilson, not just the school's resident punching bag. We started spending time together. Walks in the park, late-night talks, trips to the movies. I was walking on air. The bullying even stopped as if by magic. Friedrich and his goons would see me with Lena and just sneer, turning away as if I was no longer worth their time. I thought it was because of her popularity, a shield that now extended to me. I was so naive. There were red flags, of course. Little things I chose to ignore, tiny cracks in the perfect facade of our relationship. Her phone was always buzzing. She'd glance at a message, her smile tightening for just a second before she'd say, "Sorry, it's just work. An urgent thing I have to deal with." Then she'd be gone, leaving me with a half-finished conversation and a vague sense of unease that I'd quickly bury under the intoxicating bliss of being her boyfriend. The bliss shattered this afternoon. I was in my room trying to study, but mostly just replaying our date from the day before in my head. An email notification pinged. The sender was anonymous. The subject line was a single, taunting word: enlightenment. Curiosity is a dangerous thing. I clicked it. There was no text, just a video file. I clicked play. It was a sex tape. The screen filled with the cheap, gaudy decor of a hotel room. And then I saw her. Lena. She was naked, her back arched, her hands braced against a headboard. The sound was a low-quality mix of moans and the rhythmic creak of a bed. She was enjoying it. Whenever she get penetrated, her moans come out, like she is in paradise. Then the camera shifted and I saw his face. Friedrich Coulson. He was looking directly into the camera, a smug, triumphant smirk plastered across his face as he was with my girlfriend. My world didn't just crack, it exploded. The air left my lungs. My heart hammered against my ribs, a frantic, trapped bird. I watched, paralyzed by a venomous cocktail of rage and despair, as Lena turned her head and smiled at the camera. It wasn't the sweet, loving smile she gave me. This one was sharp, cruel, and full of a secret. The video ended with Friedrich's face filling the screen. "If you want to have a chat, we're at the Starlight Motel, room 207, he sneered before the screen went black. Something inside me snapped. The quiet, timid Adam Wilson died in that moment, and a raw, screaming beast took his place. I shot out of my chair, my eyes was blood red. I stormed out of my room, a whirlwind of pure fury. Adam? What's wrong? Isabel was in the hallway, her eyes wide with alarm. I barely saw her. She was just an obstacle. She reached for my arm, trying to stop me, but I shoved her aside. Not a gentle push, but a violent, desperate shove that sent her stumbling back against the wall. The look of shock and hurt on her face barely noticed. All I could see was that hotel room. All I could hear was Lena's laughter. I ran out of the house, ignoring Joyce's panicked calls. I ran through the streets, my lungs burning, my mind a vortex of betrayal. The Starlight Motel wasn't far, a seedy place on the edge of town known for hourly rates and discretion. I found room 207 and pounded on the door, my fist connecting with the cheap wood with a force that sent splinters into my knuckles. The door swung open. Friedrich stood there, shirtless, a lazy, arrogant grin on his face. Well, look what the cat dragged in. I didn't say a word. I just launched myself at him, my hands closing around his throat. For a second I had the upper hand. Surprise was on my side. But he was bigger, stronger. He grunted, and a single, powerful blow to my stomach sent me crashing to the floor, gasping for air. Adam? You actually came. I looked up from the stained carpet. Lena was standing by the bed, a sheet held loosely in front of her naked body. She looked at me not with guilt or shame, but with a cold, clinical amusement, like I was nothing but an amusement. Why? The word was a broken whisper, torn from my raw throat. She laughed. It wasn't her wind chime laugh. This was a harsh, ugly sound that scraped against my soul. What? Oh, you poor stupid boy. Did you really think someone like me, the top model in the school, would actually fall for you? It was all a game, a plan to break you. And look at you. You're broken. Her words were like individual hammer blows, shattering what was left of my heart. Friedrich loomed over me, cracking his knuckles. She's a good actress, isn't she? But the fun's not over. We were just talking about how we're going to get to know your family next. I bet your sister has a nice body, and your mom, she's a total MILF. That was it. The final trigger. The thought of these monsters laying a hand on Joyce or Isabel, it was a line I couldn't let them cross. A primal rage, hotter and more powerful than anything I'd ever felt, surged through me. I scrambled to my feet, grabbed the nearest object, a heavy glass vase on a nightstand, and swung it with all my might against the side of Friedrich's head. It connected with a sickening crunch. He staggered back, his eyes wide with shock, a dark line of blood starting to flowing down his temple. For a glorious, fleeting moment, I felt a surge of triumph. Then he pulled out his phone. Get to 207. Now, he shouted into it. Before I could react, the door burst open and his lackeys poured in. The triumph vanished, replaced by a cold, obvious terror. They descended on me like a pack of wolves. I don't remember all of it. Just flashes. A fist connecting with my jaw, the world exploding in a flash of white. The sharp, searing pain of a kick to my ribs. The sound of their laughter mixing with my own grunts of pain. They were brutal. They beat me until the world dissolved into a swirling kaleidoscope of pain and darkness, until I was nothing more than a sack of broken bones and shattered hopes. The next thing I knew, I was being dragged, my arms scraping against rough footpath. Then, a final heave, and I was airborne for a second before landing on something soft and foul-smelling. The lid of the dumpster slammed shut, plunging me into a stinking, absolute blackness. And now here I am, lying in the filth, my body a symphony of agony. The rage has burned out, leaving behind only the cold, heavy ash of despair. Lena betrayed me. Friedrich broke me. And now they're going after my family, and I can't do a single thing to stop them. I'm a loser. Pathetic, useless coward. I should just die. The thought was a calm, quiet comfort in the storm of my misery. Would be easier. Just let go. We'll all be over. Why God? Why me? What did I ever do to deserve this? The universe was silent. There were no answers. Just the throbbing of my own blood in my ears and the stench of decay. I closed my eyes, ready to let the darkness take me, to finally give up. That's when the light appeared. It wasn't a harsh light. It started as a soft, holy glow, seeping through my closed eyelids. It was silver and blue like moonlight on water. I thought I was hallucinating, my brain's final, desperate fireworks display before shutting down for good. But the light grew brighter, warmer, pushing back the cold dampness of the alley. I forced my swollen eyes open. A single point of light hovered in the air before me, no bigger than a marble. It pulsed gently, in time with a sound I hadn't noticed before, a low, resonant hum that seemed to vibrate in the very marrow of my bones. Then a voice spoke. It wasn't in my head, it was real, seeming to come from the light itself. It was calm, ancient, and laced with a terrifying amusement. "Wake up, my friend." I tried to speak, to ask who was there, but all that came out was a murmur sound. The pain was a tidal wave pulling me back under. "You are in considerable pain," the voice observed, as if commenting on the weather. "Allow me to help you." The point of light come closer. It touched my forehead. It wasn't hot or cold. It was nothing. And then it was everything. A wave of energy, pure and unimaginably powerful, washed through my body. It was like being plunged into an icy river and a hot spring at the same time. I gasped as I felt bones grind and shift, knitting themselves back together with an audible click. The fire in my ribs was extinguished. The cuts on my face sealed over, leaving smooth, flawless skin behind. The pain didn't just fade, it was erased completely. I pushed myself up, my limbs moving without any glimpse of pain. I stared at my hands, no longer swollen or bloody. It was impossible. I was dreaming. I had to be. In a dark, filthy alley, who could possibly do this? "I know what has happened to you," the voice continued, the light now hovering at my eye level. "I know of the girl's betrayal. I know of the threats against your family. I know the despair that is eating you alive." Hearing it all laid out so plainly, so clinically, broke the dam. The tears I hadn't been able to shed before came in a hot, silent rush. I didn't sob or scream. I just knelt there in the garbage, crying for my own stupidity, for my weakness, for the danger my family was in because of me. The light pulsed, its hum growing slightly louder. "This is a crucial moment for you, Adam Wilson. You can remain here, weeping in the dirt. Or you can choose a different path." The voice leaned in, conspiratorial, seductive. "Do you want to change? To become something more than the weak boy who gets beaten and thrown away?" I looked up at the light, my tears tracking clean paths through the dirt on my face. "Do you want the power to protect the ones you love? To ensure no one ever lays a hand on them again?" My breath pulled. Isabel's shocked face flashed in my mind. "Do you want revenge?" The voice rustled, the word itself a sinful promise. "Do you want to make Friedrich Coulson and Lena Richard feel a fraction of the pain they inflicted on you? Do you want them to look at you with terror in their eyes?" A dark, thrilling tremor went through me. "Do you want the world to kneel? To have people who once mocked you cry for your favor? To have those who harmed you fear your very existence? Do you want to be powerful, Adam?" The questions hung in the air, each one a perfectly crafted key turning a lock deep inside my soul. That all are the inner desire of mine. This wasn't just a voice, it was an offer. A solution. A dark miracle in a dirty alley. "If the answer is yes," the voice concluded, its tone now pure, unadulterated power, "then all you have to do is make a deal with me." It was a hope. But it was a dark and terrible kind of hope. And I knew, with a certainty that chilled me to my core, that if I accepted it, the boy I used to be would be gone forever. The voice waited, patient and eternal. The choice was mine. The choice is to feel the pain or to become it.